Hello, everyone. Welcome to Community CPA's webinar. And today and this week, we have been highlighting nonprofit work. And of course, today we are going to highlight again the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit, which has an event coming up in the Twin Cities metro area on Monday, May 23rd. So we're very excited to have that event back in person again. Obviously, throughout this time of COVID, it's been a difficult time for businesses, not only because we couldn't gather as much, but also just because of the business climate has changed. So the event is really meant to support entrepreneurs. And so today we have Ben Jung, who is a board director for the Immigrant Entrepreneurs Summit. And we're going to be talking a bit about what is coming up, as well as what you can, just kind of the history of the summit. He'll be able to share about that. So Ben, would you please introduce yourself to everybody?
Hi, everyone. Glad to be on with you all. Ben Jung, born and raised in Des Moines, Iowa. And if you're familiar with the city, what I call the Near East Side is located not too far from the Iowa State Capitol building. And it was during that time my parents had a couple of business interests, one being a grocery store located there. And East 9th and University is the part of the city where they opened Jung's. It was at that time the first Asian grocery store. This was a period of the 1970s. And also during about the mid 70s and late 70s, there were influxes of migration arriving to Iowa, primarily from Southeast Asian region. Some might refer it as Indochina. And there were definitely people coming in representing countries, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, but among that group would also include the Hmong and Thai Dam people who necessarily did not have a country themselves, but were part of that theater of conflict during that period. And really opened my eyes as a young boy to all these new faces arriving here. And if I skip some decades, did attend school, Des Moines Public Schools, and then West Des Moines Community Schools when my folks moved to the western suburbs, and then graduated from University of Iowa.
Wonderful. So can you tell us a bit about how you got involved in IES and how that has progressed over time?
So IES can call Drake University's campus its home, where it began at the Parent Hall. This is in the Olmsted Center. And interestingly, at that time, Jung's, our family name is Jung, were on the receiving end of the program. So the program involves, in addition to workshops where you learn the tools to become a business owner, the celebration part, which is the awards, what we call the awards ceremony. So it was our honor at that time to be recognized for one of the 4 categories, which among them include the Immigrant Spirit Award, what we also call sometimes the Lifetime Achievement Award. And so that was quite the honor, and had an opportunity to share a little bit of the story, our story as immigrants in Iowa. My brother and I, in my introduction, I should have mentioned siblings, but I do have a younger brother, and we are grateful for the sacrifices that our parents make for us to be able to have the opportunity to move on with our school and make the kinds of decision of whether we want to enter professional fields or in my case, also following dad's footsteps by joining our family business, which I have been a part of for a little over 2 decades now in the wine and spirits business. So IES has definitely evolved since 2008, and that was the inaugural event that took place in Des Moines on the Drake campus. And throughout that period of growth, we also can attest to the success of the attendance, specifically participants of IES who have participated in the workshops and what we call the toolkit for immigrant business owners or future business owners to take with them the knowledge, the know-how to be able to dip your toes and also prepare you, because we want you to be successful, and not every business owner who is unfamiliar with laws, local laws, issues with leases, negotiations regarding signing one, commercial zoning, things that sometimes get skipped, and then realizing after you start your business or want to take the loan out for the business that site is maybe not suitable for the type of operation you want to have. So IES helps you avoid those pitfalls that are out there. And it allows some other familiar faces, friendly faces in the room to sort of help you get from the point A to point B. I think it's a event and organization and opportunity for networking that allows some of the gaps that, 4 decades or so ago in Iowa, when mom and dad were planning to open that grocery store, these types of information, resources, people, knowledge, people power wasn't always available for them. So IES sort of bridges that, I think, and allows newcomers to feel more comfortable and confident as you navigate through all the issues and things that arise invariably when you're looking to start a business. And now that we're here in 2022, business doesn't have to mean a brick and mortar. So there's so many aspects of entrepreneurship beyond sort of the Main Street idea of business. So I think in that way, IES is very unique in that we can sort of run with the times and sort of be still a force, but flexible at the same time to find those folks who are interested and looking for success.
Right. So as you think about IES and its events, what is your favorite parts or the most meaningful parts that you find in the summit that you look forward to every year?
The faces change, and I think that's always interesting to see the attendance. And sometimes the attendance is not in person, but you see such a diversity of people who are attending. And so I always look forward to the chance to hear stories. I like learning about how everyone's backgrounds to get to where they arrived is different. And through those unique experiences, I think it provides an excellent perspective and learning opportunity for everybody you meet and everyone who is there to also network and to hear their story.
Yeah, absolutely. That is, part of the event is getting to know each other and get to know their businesses. And because it's such a diverse crowd that comes out, it's just a range that you might not get otherwise. So, in terms of what you see in your business space, you're in retail. Can you remark on how you've seen your business community change over the last year or so, um, and how you think future summits will look like?
Well, in our business, um, COVID sort of brought on this era of what you may have heard called the Great Resignation. And that means to find the type of workforce or help that any business needs had become a taller task because when 2020 happened, and in Iowa, March would be more specific to the date when uh, we just didn't know enough about the virus, and for safety and welfare of everyone, many chose to stay at home. And that meant for us in our retail business that the hours had to be cut back or reduced. Now, in the wine world, COVID did something really unique to us. And I call it the wine world because there is the retail side of it, which is the stores and the grocery stores and the convenience stores and independent wine and spirits stores like Ingersoll Wine and Spirits. And those folks never closed.
Right.
We were spared the shutdown mandate requirements. And it was just the opposite if you owned a restaurant or a bar, what we sometimes call on-premise side of wine. So as the weeks wore on in 2020, then you can see that people were spending their money with consuming at home. And so if you're a retailer, you were celebrating because this wasn't, foreseeable that people who used to travel and stay at hotels and have a tab at the bar, you were no longer spending your dollars at those places. And restaurants were not equipped to sort of pivot, especially in the Midwest or where we live, where the winters don't allow that as an option. Outdoor dining is not much past November. It's not an option. So I don't know many other, even in the months like we're in May now, how many instantly said, oh, we need to provide that outdoor option as a safer alternative, or et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I'm sure in hindsight, there are so many things that we could have, maybe businesses, specifically the hospitality industry, could have done to sort of help themselves better. But these pandemics don't occur every decade or so. The biggest other one probably been 100 years. So by the time the holidays came around, our industry, the off-premise or the retail side of wine, we were just overwhelmed with business sales specifically. And the challenge was to find enough help to get us through increasing sales and how busy holiday time, the season for your best sales. And so I saw this in 2021. Early part of 2021, I saw similar kinds of what I would call COVID numbers. And it stayed strong throughout the summer last year. And this kind of ironically, or in some kind of unexplainable way, um, December was, as expected, a good month, but there was some weakness in the beginning, and it was it was good. And then after Christmas, the last part of December was not as busy as expected. It was sort of an odd December. And once we got into 2022, I would say that the idea, this notion of what do they call it, the dry January became like a real thing, and people were, I think, sort of, when you consume, at some point, I think your body cries, or maybe it's your liver cries out for help, assistance, and it slowed down a lot. I mean, 2022 compared to 2021 so far, there's no comparison. So 21 was a much more COVID-like period for the alcohol world. Right. So now, as we're sort of going about, is in sort of what I described as a post-COVID kind of mindset, where you don't see as much masking and things of that nature. The challenge in May of 2022 for us is gaining our hours back. So we need to bring our pre-COVID hours of operation back, and we're better staffed now than we have been since 2020. And so, but at the same time, businesses, especially in the retail sector, will attest that the cost of labor, the wage rates have all increased. So it's definitely a ingredient in your business plan that you have to consider, that wage rates have gone up, and of course across industries, this whole supply chain is occurring everywhere.
I was going to ask you if that was an issue for your business at all.
Yeah, alcohol is regulated as a monopoly by the state Alcoholic Beverages Division. We call it ABD. And that means whether you're a grocery store chain, a price club, an independent wine and spirits store, you all have to purchase your product through the ABD. And for very lengthy periods, certain brands were constantly unavailable. And so it still poses challenges when there are out of stock issues. And if you're traveling, you see it in one state and you come home and you wonder why we don't have it. It's pretty frustrating. So supply chain affects even alcohol.
Yeah, definitely. So as you're thinking about, the challenges that businesses are going through, how can they make the most out of the summit and any business connections that they gain there? Do you have any tips from your experience and time with that?
Well, choose and selectively programming the workshop specifically that you think is most applicable to your situation, obviously. So the hard part is narrowing it down, because I think there's some very high quality workshops that are available that are worth every dollar of the price of your ticket. So that's a little bit of my commercial for IES.
Thank you.
And so how do you narrow it down? Well, you want it to be something of interest and something that you feel will pay dividends by sitting through it. And hopefully it'll be informative and entertaining. And the ones I attended, it's nice to have that person's contact information if they can't answer your question. they're an excellent resource to sort of direct you to other places to find answers to the questions that you may have. Also, between the workshop sessions, you have an opportunity to run into people that you have not met, and that's always a great opportunity to introduce yourself and learn as to what brought the other person across from you to the summit event. And so it's a great chance just to interact with people in a safe environment. And I think vendors there always have opportunities for you to learn about what they provide in terms of services and their products. And so it's a great one-stop shop opportunity to gain those valuable tools, tools that are practical, tools that are not just, obscure concepts, but something that is tangible, that hopefully you can turn into something that will help you with your plan. And so I think the testament is all the number of businesses that sort of circle or trace their roots to our events since 2008. And as a result of those business successes, the amount of jobs that have been created by the IES businesses that have formed throughout those many years. And so there's a economic impact too. Maybe it's not, right there the same year as IES, but those are seeds that sprout throughout the years that passes. So I think there's definitely a needle, proverbial needle that we are moving in the communities that we have touched. So.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ben. I really appreciate you sharing your experience and thoughts about not just your business and industry, but on what IES can provide people. So
great.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on today.
Yes, of course. Thank you everyone for being on, and we hope to see you on May 23rd. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.